So you might recall that Jesus has, for the past several weeks in the Sunday liturgies, been arguing with the chief priests and the scribes. That's been going on, and it ended last week. They kind of stomp away mad. Jesus had an answer for everything, or he couldn't be trapped. So they're stomping away, and then we hear the next scene is today's gospel. Jesus turns to his disciples, and it would be wonderful if we could see his face. Did he roll his eyes as they're stomping away, or did he shake his head, or okay, after he's had this long encounter, and then he finally says to them, saying, "Oh my gosh, don't be like that. Don't be like those guys." You know, they have their role to play. They're following the traditions of Moses. So pay attention to what they say. But don't act like them. Please, don't act like them. See them go away. Oof, don't be like that. And then he diagnoses the problem. He says their spirituality is skin deep. Doesn't go any further. It's all on the outside. It looks great. They wear the right clothes. They say the right words. They're in the right places. But they're not doing it for God. They're not doing it for people. They're just doing it for themselves. A whole group of narcissists, all gathered in one place, all wearing the right robes. No, don't be like that. Your spirituality, your relationship with God has to be deeper. It has to go deep inside of you. The skin-deep spirituality is bad. He will go on to give a whole bunch of woes about it. Because that skin-deep spirituality on the part of a leader, that kind of narcissism or self-directed leadership, hurts people. It hurts those you're supposed to care for. So it's a good thing we don't do that today, that priests don't wear robes and sit way up front and call him Father. Oh my gosh, I'm glad we dropped all that. The disease still exists, I must say. And we don't have to look very far among spiritual leaders to see those who are simply doing it for themselves. Saying maybe the right words, looking right, but not being right. If you listen to Pope Francis, he often goes on about this. One of his big issues is clericalism among religious leaders, among priests, bishops, others who have roles of authority, that they're in it for themselves. And Pope Francis will say this is why people leave, why they're not here anymore, because they've had an encounter with what Jesus calls hypocrisy. Because what hypocrisy means in the Greek original is you wear a mask. It's not really you. So you put on a mask of goodness, but you're not really good. And you really don't care about the sheep. Which is why one of Pope Francis's more famous lines is, he wants priests who stink, who smell like sheep. You should smell like the flock you serve. You shouldn't be above, distant, but right in there with them. So all of you are thinking, whew, I'm glad that was about priests. Has nothing to do with us. maybe we should keep an eye on our leaders and demand that they be more integrated. But for some reason, Matthew remembered it. So when he was putting his gospel together, this was a problem. And they would recall, I remember Jesus said, this is a problem. And this is when he said it. Because clearly in the early church, it was impacting, something was impacting that. So what was going on in church? Perhaps all of us, as much as we might strive to follow Jesus, we are tempted by our egos. Because they're there, friends. We all have them. And we all like to be recognized. We all like to hold some positions. We like that. The question always becomes with leadership, why are you doing it? Who are you doing it for? So Jesus, knowing that maybe that's a temptation for all of us, in our workplaces, among our families, wherever that temptation to be ego-centered, he gives two pieces of advice today. The first one is he invites us to be humble. And what humility is simply an honest view of self. Who am I really? Am I honest more than skin deep? Does the honesty go all the way down? And if I'm honest about who I am, then I know that I need to be thanked and I need to be recognized, and all that is there. But we're not seeking that. That's not why we did it. It's nice, but it's not the reason we do it. And second, he recommends that we serve, that we learn to be of service to others where no recognition may take place, where you serve somebody who doesn't even know it, and so won't say thank you because they never knew they did it. You have to be the lowest servant once in a while to practice that. And in those two things, self-honesty, humbleness, and service to the least, those two things cure the skin-deep spirituality that people may have. It's Jesus' answer to us. And in Jesus' mind, it has an eternal impact.